If y'all didn't see, Tucker Carlson's on Fox News. You know we watch Fox News like demons. We got to keep up with the opposition.
We watch it more than your like distant relatives.
We watch it more than we watch left content just to be to be caught up on what the right is saying. But Tucker Carlson went on as he does.
Yeah.
And he's mad because M&Ms are woke now.
He's absolutely furious. He's like horny mad too.
He's horny. Oh, he's horny
mad. Dangerously horny. Somebody actually needs to lock this dude up.
He's horny mad. He's talking about M&Ms because if you didn't know, M&M did a little bit of a rebranding.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even a rebranding. It was just like a redesign of their characters that they have.
Yeah,
like the M&M characters.
The characters got new clothes.
Yeah.
Crazy to think about, I know.
They got new threads. And like the threads are just shoes.
Facts, because they don't wear clothes.
Right, because they're
candy. Well, and they're not real.
Yeah, it's not real. But anyway, so in particular, the M&Ms they got a redesign, which again were just like shoes. Were the green M&M and the brown M&M.
Oh yeah,
those are the ones he focused on. Those are the two like women, and again, not women because they're M&Ms.
Fucking M&Ms. They're women coded, if you will.
Right.
But anyway, the green one used to have these high, what Tucker Carlson would say describe as sexy boots. The green one had these sexy boots on, and now she's wearing like Adidas Superstars.
Exactly.
She's just wearing like regular fucking basic ass sneakers.
Yeah.
And the brown M&M in particular, that was one he got really pressed about. Instead of wearing, she used to wear stilettos, and instead of that, now she's wearing block heels. And if you didn't know the difference, I don't blame you because I didn't either. Block heels are just thicker and easier to walk on.
I wouldn't have noticed if he didn't point it out.
No, literally,
I didn't even know.
Also wouldn't have noticed.
I wouldn't have noticed, but he was so mad because he was like, they're making these characters unsexy.
Yeah.
And when you no longer find them attractive, when you are no longer turned on, they have won.
And it's like, instead of an explicitly sexualized shoe, a stiletto, it's one with a thicker heel.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's it. This dude is really sitting there on the #1 cable news show in the country, bricked up. He is streaming his fetishes to millions of Americans, like right there.
Bro's complaining about M&Ms.
Yeah.
Again, M&Ms, candy, not real people.
Oh, God,
not being sexy enough. Like, this is just fucking psychotic. Like, okay, to be fair, it's not the most harmful thing he's ever said. But it's
not
just,
at all.
Like, it's insane. It just
It's
shows
so
you where he
funny.
is.
And it's like, look, we grew up on the Rule 34 internet.
Yeah.
we know a thing or two.
It exists.
And if you don't know what that is, I envy you. But anyway, if Tucker Carlson needs to like get his fix in, there's a lot of places that he can go and look for some content, if you will.
Yeah, it's funny how much conservatives will demonize women that like want to be sexually appealing or like choose to dress however they wish.
Yeah,
because
no,
that's literally fine to do. They demonize them so much and call them so many like disrespectful names. They're just rude to them, and then they get mad when M&Ms aren't sexy enough anymore.
Oh my God,
because it's like woke culture.
He literally
like, bro,
said.
what?
He literally said when he was talking about the brown M&M.
Why are we? I hate that we have to cover this.
He said, once you're turned off, they've won.
Yeah.
He just admitted it.
Yeah.
He admitted it. That's he just said he's bricked up for M&Ms right there, right on cable news.
Bro's mad he can't be turned on with M&Ms anymore.
I know, dude. And it's like, in all serious, Tucker Carlson, and I'm pretty sure like everybody on Fox News, is getting so fucking upset that the 2 female characters in the entire ensemble cast of this brand aren't being explicitly sexualized anymore.
Yeah.
In a way, they've won. Like, isn't that what they usually want? Like,
right.
They're usually Puritans when it comes to this shit.
Right, and it's like they weren't even that sexualized before. It's a difference in shoes.
No, it's like they were
it's an M&M.
And it's like they kind of like were like through the internet. Like the internet's the one that did that, and they're like, all right, we're just gonna try to take this in a different direction. Again, it's the Rule 34 internet and its consequences.
Bro, it's literally just a private corporation deciding they want to do something with the design of their characters, and these people lose their mind because they can't beat off to them anymore.
And he like quoted something because like the brand had characters make statements about it, and the green one said something about how it's nice to see women in leadership positions.
Oh no!
And he read it like it was a bad thing.
Yeah, of course, because it's Tucker Carlson.
And it's so funny because he got so angry about this segment. I feel like he got more angry about this than he usually does.
Yeah.
Hence why I'm sure he wants to fuck the M&Ms.
Bro, he's got to want to.
Has to.
Can you blame him?
Oh, no.
Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. Welcome back to the show. welcome back to the show.
You know how it is.
You already know how it is.
New week, new Head in the Office episode.
Got a whole lot to talk about, including Biden's first year in office. He had a pretty cool press conference that we got to cover. Got to talk about voting rights in the Senate, or lack thereof. Talk a little bit about monopolies, a little bit about the Supreme Court.
A little bit of video game news.
A little bit of video game news. We got to do our summary.
Exactly.
You know what we do. You know what we do around here.
But around here. It's been a couple episodes.
If you want to support the show, if you want to help us out, be a real one on the podcast. Yeah. Help us out. Be a part of the culture. You can head over to the Patreon, check us out. Head over to YouTube, Instagram.
We're more
TikTok.
active on those platforms now.
Exactly. Our social media. Support us. Become a patron. Become a patron of the show.
You know what to do.
But another thing you can do to help us, leave a review on Apple. One of which we had to read today. Very simple one.
We do. Okay.
Right to the point. And I really appreciate this person. It's from Golden Q2, subject relatable. They say, it's fun hearing them bully politicians and call out all racists. You know what we do.
That's what I do. That's what I was put on this earth to do, is bully politicians.
Yeah, that's what we do around here. That's what we do around here.
Exactly. I'm glad you guys get it.
Thank you for the review. And if any of you all want your review right on the podcast, go leave one. Apple Podcasts.
It's as simple as that.
Over there, 5-star review. We'll read it on the pod. We appreciate you.
In bullying politicians news, that's what this episode's about.
Oh, yeah. That's what this is all about, 100%.
I'm pretty sure over half this episode is going to be bullying Biden. Maybe that's the title.
Bullying Biden?
Bullying Biden.
Perhaps.
Because this press conference was awful.
Yeah, so last week, Biden held a press conference. It was on the 19th, where he talked about all the progress he has made throughout his first year in office. And, of course, the 20th would be the one-year anniversary of him being inaugurated. And you may be asking, how did it go?
What progress?
What progress? What did he say during this press conference? What updates did he give us? How was it? How was it, Gage?
Oh my God, it was incredibly lackluster. I thought the funniest part about it is you go to look at the video, and the video is 2 hours long, for the press conference as a whole. And he starts it off with a speech talking about his accomplishments, and that speech is even less than that. I feel like that shit was small.
Yeah, it was small.
And then it's an hour and a half just questions.
Mm-hmm. And half the questions are just about Russia, Ukraine.
Yeah, facts.
We'll get to it.
Yeah,
we'll get to it. Anyway, dude, he starts off talking about all of the challenges and how tough the year was. Because, boo-hoo for him, right? Because running for president, tough life. Can't imagine being in that position. Right?
I know. I can't imagine being a fucking millionaire politician. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. I can't imagine becoming president of the United States and having to deal with problems.
Wow.
Oh, my God, you poor people are struggling so much. How is this my fault?
Yeah.
Why do I have to help you with this?
Yeah, but guys, I have to, talk about you're struggling.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't pull well.
First stat he flexes, though. Child poverty dropped by 40%.
See, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We like that child poverty dropped 40%, but let's talk about why child poverty dropped 40%. Basically, we're just going to be fact-checking what this dude said.
Oh, yeah, we're fact-checkers here.
Because half of it was just wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was right for reasons that are going away, kind of like this one.
Yeah.
There are pretty much two big reasons why child poverty dropped. That was the American Rescue Plan and its stimmies, which were a one-time payment, mind you.
Very helpful, though.
Very helpful. Pretty cool.
Very helpful until the end of the month when they ran out.
Exactly.
Then it was just over.
Until you spent them immediately because you had bills to pay.
Right.
Exactly. And their expansion to unemployment benefits, which was actually very good, a chunky policy. That was great. We love that. And then but those ended. Stimmies were one time. Unemployment ended in September. So families have not had that in a while.
No.
You know what I mean? And then the other big part of it was the child tax credit.
Probably the biggest part of it was the child tax credit.
The hugest chunk of it was the child tax credit. That helped everybody because for each kid you got $300 or something every month.
Yeah.
It was something crazy like that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it was each kid you got $300 a month if you make under $150,000 as a household, and then it tapered off as you got higher, and then eventually became zero. Yeah, it was mean tested.
And then it's if you have a kid that's less than 8 or something.
But yeah, $300 extra a month, that's food on the table.
Exactly.
That's very helpful to a lot of people.
But
that's the stuff we like to see.
But it's over.
It's gone.
But it could not get passed because its passing for the extension into 2022 and beyond was tied to Build Back Better, which is now dead in the water.
And you know who opposed specifically the child tax credit? Joe Manchin specifically opposed the child tax credit.
Oh, yeah. He was the one that railed against it.
Called it out by name. He didn't like helping children in poverty.
Yeah.
Children that needed food on the table. He's a demon.
He saw that statistic and he said, what are you going to do? My hands are tied.
Yeah. What about, could you imagine if we just, roll that back and then have children come and work in my coal mines?
Yeah. Could you imagine if we rolled that back? And you know how we just made it so that teens can drive trucks now?
Right.
And you know how we just expanded child labor laws? Well, didn't expand them, minimize child labor laws.
Shrink those real quick. Deregulate, if you will.
Deregulate, if you will. Can we do that a little more?
Mm-hmm.
And then we wouldn't need a child tax credit.
Yeah, because children could come and work. Right?
Get to work,
course,
and they could earn the $300
rather than like going to school or just like being a kid growing up. If we put them to work, then they won't need the child tax credit.
I think we just cracked the code.
I think we definitely just cracked the code.
Now that's a policy that could lower child poverty in my book.
And then Biden goes on to flex about wages going up for the bottom 40% in the country.
Yeah, cap.
Right.
It's
it's
literal.
just a lie.
It is literal cap. He said that wages went up for the bottom 40% despite inflation. And that's the quote. Despite inflation. Like, that's the important part of it. Real wages went down for literally everyone. On average in the country, no matter your tax bracket, no matter what, your real wages went down. Everything is more expensive. You strictly can buy less.
Oh, yeah. Your real wages went down as they have been for the last 60 years.
Yeah, and if you don't know what real wages are wages adjusted for inflation.
Yeah, your purchasing power with the money that you get paid. Like, I think it was in the 1970s, you were making $12 an hour off that minimum wage, which was obviously much different than it is now. And off of the minimum wage now, you're making $7.25.
Oh, yeah.
Your real wages have decreased extraordinarily, so he's just fucking lying.
Bro just got on there and lied.
Yeah,
about one of, like, the most important issues that American people actually care about.
And
he lied.
He reminds us several times that he's pro-capitalism.
That's facts. Explicitly states.
Yeah, exactly. He then goes on. He's talking about Medicare now. Medicare, Medicaid, healthcare reforms in general.
Shit, yeah.
He says that he made surprise medical bills illegal.
I'm going to let you guess what this is, but I'll give you a hint. It's in line with the last thing that we talked about, and that is a fucking lie. Because while it was made illegal, he didn't make it illegal. He actually had no hand in the process that made it illegal. It was the previous administration. It happened in December of 2020 is when that got passed, and it was a bipartisan effort.
What was it? Just like you can't... Well, I feel like that still happens though, right?
I don't know. I don't know the details of it, but I guess like you just can't be like... Or they can't upcharge you. Like they have to be transparent in their pricing.
Oh, got you. So it's like instead of trying to lie about it, they can just say like, yes, you're paying $32,000 for this surgery that you need or you're going to die.
Yeah, no. Instead of telling
it doesn't actually change anything.
Instead of telling you that the surgery is only like $10,000 and then they charge you for like the scalpels and all the medical equipment and shit, they have to just tell you everything that you're going to be in the hole for.
So you still don't have a choice.
Yeah, and Biden didn't do it.
Yeah, so now instead of being surprised, you just know that you're fucked before you go into surgery or before you start getting your treatments done. That's a lot of fun.
That's really fun.
Bro goes on to talk about economic growth.
Yeah.
And he's talking about record profits.
Oh, yeah. No, he's just talking about record growth. He didn't mention record profits.
Well, but that record growth is
a result
fueled by record profits within corporations.
Record profits, which are like record as in we haven't seen profits this high since the 1950s.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yet, consumer goods are going up. Mm-hmm. So what's the deal with that?
Consumer goods are going up. Wages aren't going up.
But profits are going up?
Exactly. Like Amazon and Walmart, back in December, this is reported in December, but over the course of the pandemic, they've made about $10 billion combined off of the backs of their workers. Yeah. The workers for the wages, they said have increased like 6 to 7% or just not at all. Mm-hmm. So companies are making more than ever.
And corporate profits make up 11% of overall GDP.
That's a lot.
That's a sizable chunk. Mm-hmm. They do be measuring into it.
Yeah.
It's not something we can really ignore. Mm-hmm. And we have to realize that this is partly because they recognize the political climate we're in, and they realize that they are able to get away with raising prices on you, on me, on everybody watching this, on everybody in the country, without them caring, because they've manipulated the public into thinking that they're just trying to like maintain their bottom line.
Right.
They've manipulated the public into thinking that it's cutting into profits when in reality they're padding their profits by raising it more than they need to.
And then they'll raise their starting wage to 12 instead of 9 and act like they're some saint.
Oh yeah.
When 12 is still not enough to get you by to afford rent, food, cars, transportation, like things that all cost more now, by the way. Like it's still not enough.
A common theme throughout this press conference is, guys, Americans are starving, but they're starving a little less.
Oh yeah, so and that's a big theme also is like Americans are so gritty, they're so strong.
Yeah, facts.
And I'm gonna do nothing to help that.
Because you're so gritty and strong, I know that you can get through this on your own.
Yeah. And like now that the child tax credit's gone, unemployment benefits are gone, there's no eviction moratorium, like people are still struggling.
And they're struggling worse.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, they are struggling worse like than when Trump was in office.
Yeah.
Because
which is like such a failing of the Democrats.
I know.
Like, come on.
I know, because if we're looking at it in the way that how things are perceived, they're perceived to be struggling worse. The Democratic Party is just a failure.
Yeah. And it's like, don't get it mixed up. We're not saying that Trump did a better job.
Not at all.
All of the good things that happened happened in spite of Trump because he was there when the pandemic started.
Yeah,
so people were willing
yes.
to do more immediately because, we perceived it as a greater threat, which it is a great threat,
Yeah.
by the way. So Trump had that advantage. And a lot of those things happened in spite of Trump. Remember, he didn't support additional stimulus checks until it started polling well, until he thought he would get a political boost.
I don't think he supported unemployment. None of the Republicans supported unemployment.
No, not even a
until
little
the
bit.
political boost.
Yeah, but we still got it done.
Exactly. It still happened under him. That's just the point.
It's a stark contrast that all those things happen under Donald Trump. They're not happening under Joe Biden. People that don't pay attention to politics are going to notice that kind of thing because it's a material difference in their life. It's not going to be good for 2022 or any campaign because what do you campaign on? Like, what do you say you've delivered from Joe Biden? There's one set of stimulus checks. American Rescue Plan was good.
Yeah.
The infrastructure bill was good. But again, like, you're the government.
They can campaign on extending unemployment, but they have to also realize that they ended unemployment.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, a lot of people realize that.
You know what demographic they can't campaign to? Students. They haven't canceled student debt. Black voters, we'll talk about that later because it was brought up in a question, but black voters, they haven't done anything to protect voting rights.
Poor people.
Anyone that cares about climate change.
All the people that died from COVID.
Oh, yeah, because they can't vote.
Exactly.
Which may actually favor them because, overwhelmingly conservative is the vaccine.
Yeah, real shit.
Not that there's any light to be found in all those COVID deaths, but still. Anyway, speaking of COVID, that was the next section he got to. He brought up COVID-19 and saying, he starkly said, very clearly, boldly announced, we're not going back into lockdown.
Oh.
Which is like an Eric Adams type move right there.
Excellent.
Love to see that.
Woo.
Very Eric Adams-like. And then he said, we're not closing schools either, even though schools are literally going online.
Yeah, even though I've been online for the last 3 weeks.
See, when he talked about school closings, I think he talked specifically about no online, no in person. I think that was his definition. But there are a lot of schools that are online. And like maybe it's just an anecdote from like my viewpoint. Yeah. But in Michigan, quite a bit of schools.
No, that's facts. A lot of schools are temporarily online too.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's not counting that in his metric because he's lip, Schools are online for good reason, by the way. Yeah. They should definitely be online. There's a surge in COVID cases right now. So everybody's getting it.
But yeah, like he said absolutely no lockdowns. He then mentioned that we're in a better spot than we were before, which depending on how you look at the graphs is just like wrong. Because we're in a surge right now.
Oh yeah, he also lied about vaccination numbers.
Seriously?
Yeah, he said we're getting 9 million vaccines out a week. It's only like 7 to 8 million.
Fudging the numbers.
Kind of a big discrepancy right there.
Fudging the numbers.
And a lot of the new ones are boosters, and it's not Americans that weren't vaccinated
It's not
before.
shots in new arms. Yeah.
Exactly. It's shots in old arms, people who are already willing to do it. So he's really just flexing things he can't.
Yeah. And like there's a death spike happening like right now. Like deaths have just started to curl up on the graph. Hopefully it's not as bad as it has been previously. But, I mean, the spike is coming off of what is already a steady 1,500 people dying a day.
Oh, facts, yeah.
So it's already going up based off of that starting point. And it's just going to – it's the spike that's following the Omicron surge that happened that is still happening.
Yeah, it's
but
still
was prominent like last week, 2 weeks ago. So considering how you look at the situation, yeah, we got vaccines. Yeah, we got boosters. Yeah, we know more about the pandemic. But arguably, it's worse. Arguably, we're in a worse spot. Not all Joe's fault, but
it's also like from the perspective of the average American, just like consumer, not anybody like us who actually tries to pay attention to politics and knows what's going on. It's just worse under Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Like he's just doing a worse job, and that's all he campaigned on. His whole campaign was about getting us out of COVID, and look where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's the viewpoint we try to approach from. We're interested in getting new people involved.
Exactly.
Not trying to appeal to people that already care and already have all their talking points, memorized.
I'm not trying to appeal to any debate bros.
Yeah.
Who are just fucking annoying.
We've had some problem with those recently.
Shout out Benjamin Politics.
We're not trying to reach that audience. We're trying to reach a very specific audience that doesn't care about politics because they've been disenfranchised, don't have time for it.
We're trying to show them that this shit can work for you.
It does matter a lot.
It's just not the people who are in charge right now that are going to work for you.
Biden sucks, but not because Trump is better.
Oh yeah.
Key distinction.
It's not
Key distinction.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes on to talk about free tests that are now available at covidtest.gov. I encourage you to get them if the website's not obliterated by now. But you only get 4 per family. Which, if you got a family more than 4, sucks.
Strictly nuclear family. That's it. That's all you got.
No, wait, literally.
Yeah.
If you got more than 4 people in your family, figure it out. Or if you got just 4 in your family, 1 test, 1 time. Figure out if you want to use it at the reunion or when you go out to dinner or when you go see a movie. Figure that out yourself.
And I know Jeremy's got some personal experience with this next one.
with like ordering the test.
With ordering tests.
So the website, it tracks what address you order the tests to ensure that you can't order more than like your set of 4, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't take into account apartment complexes or dorm buildings on college campuses.
Crazy.
So when you order the tests to your address, say one person does it in a dorm or an apartment complex, that counts it for your entire apartment complex.
Hundreds of kids
so
are
if
living
you've got,
in these dorms.
If you've got hundreds of people living in your dorms, hundreds of people, thousands of people living in your apartment complex, only one person can set the order for that address. That's just classism.
That's 4 tests. For an entire dorm.
Hey, bro,
we'll just entire apartment.
all 600 of us will just share these 4 tests real quick.
What if we just put one test in everybody's nose? It should come back like that, you know?
Oh yeah, if we just pool our snot together,
exactly,
mix it up a little bit, we'll find out if any of us have COVID.
Cooking in the kitchen, you know?
Exactly. But like, it's just, I'm sure it wasn't an intentional aspect because there was a part on the form to like put your apartment number, your suite, whatever. But like, this is just such a massive fumble because a lot of people live in apartments, dog.
It's one of those oversights that also feeds into the idea that government sucks and can't do anything right.
Yeah.
Because, kinda.
But it's like the people that need these tests the most in cities are most likely to be living in apartment buildings.
Oh, they are strictly living in apartment buildings.
Like, you're not owning a house in New York City, dog. Like,
the people that need the free tests are not the ones that are homeowners.
Exactly.
In dense urban areas.
And the ones that are homeowners can probably just afford to go pay $25 for a test at Walgreens. Like, the free tests are for the people that are living in apartments that don't have enough money to buy the tests or have their private health care company or lack thereof pay for it for them.
No, it's actually
big
crazy.
fumble.
Big fumble, huge fumble. Speaking of another, not necessarily a fumble, but more of a self-report, he started talking about, y'all remember the new COVID pill that dropped?
Yeah.
Like Pfizer got approved, new COVID pill. It's going to be like a prophylactic treatment or some shit. You take it, you get it, you better. Anyway, he bragged about buying 20 million doses from Pfizer. And he emphasized that was way more than any country in the world.
Bro got swindled.
How does that like make you exactly?
Bro got swindled.
Those are exactly my thoughts. Dude just bragged about being extorted.
Bro just said Pfizer just made me run my pockets so that people that do get COVID don't have to go to the hospital.
No, it's like ideally, like this shouldn't be a crazy thought, but somehow it is. Shouldn't any country in the world be able to get as much of the pill as they need to save as many lives as possible?
I mean, that's also been the problem with the vaccine, right?
It's been the problem with the pharmaceutical industry as a whole. Well, bro's out here bragging about it.
It's been a problem with every drug that has ever existed to help people, which is all of them.
You about to hit him with a hashtag humble brag. We just got extorted.
Bro
the
said,
entire government.
I just emptied my pockets to Big Pharma. That shit was heat.
Yeah, no, literally. So I thought that was particularly funny.
Yeah, and then this dude goes on and has the audacity, when talking about schools, to talk about ventilation and hygiene resources in schools to prevent the spread of COVID-19. But the thing about that is that an investment's always good.
Yeah.
But we're 2 years into the pandemic. That stuff that has to be in place years before so that students, one, know how to use hygiene products, and two, ventilation systems are ready to go in case you do have something spreading throughout a school. You can't just implement that and be like, all right, bro, pandemic's done.
Facts.
We're getting there.
Facts.
Like, that's something that should have been, and also
should have been there for a while also.
Saying that, like, we installed new ventilation systems, shouldn't that have been done a long time ago?
Yeah,
you're telling me kids that go to like inner city schools didn't have good ventilation already? Like,
and
come
it's
on,
like you're telling
bruh.
me those are the kids that are getting the new ventilation systems, because they're not. Let's be real here.
No.
It's the already well-off public schools are the ones that are getting these systems.
Exactly.
And this is all besides the fact that this should have been in place a while ago, and actually was until Trump got rid of that one pandemic thing.
What was
you know
it?
what I'm talking
the
about?
pandemic task force?
Yeah, Obama had the whole plan like set forth.
Set up by George Bush, actually.
Oh, shit, yeah. In case of pandemic happened, Trump said,
Yeah, he threw that out before the pandemic started.
Exactly. So that's fun.
I mean, and that's even besides the fact that the way we fund schools in this country is just fucking psychotic through property taxes. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. So the schools that absolutely need resources, that needed them before the pandemic and definitely need them now, are the ones that don't have them.
It is explicitly racist.
Oh, yeah, classist, racist, everything. All the ists, for sure.
All the isms. All the ists and isms.
He then goes on and he presents a 3-point plan.
Wow.
That it's a 3-point plan to fix everything that's going on with the economy and the elevated prices and inflation, all that kind of stuff.
Sounds very nuanced.
Yeah.
Sounds like a nuanced way to attack this incredibly complex issue.
It was a very nuanced conversation, I will say.
Okay.
So his first point is, very broadly, he said, we're going to fix the supply chain.
I'm going to make Pete fix the supply chain.
Yeah, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg will fix it for you. And if it doesn't get fixed by 3 weeks, it's his fault.
It's his fault. Everybody go shit on Pete.
And he should not be taking paternity leave. Yeah, he's talking about fixing the supply chain. He rattled off a bunch of different things. But the thing that stuck with me was that he was boasting about how there were no delays in packages like everyone said there would be. He said that like all the packages for Christmas got there on time. All the docks, you know, they cleared whatever was clogging all of the transport, the ships and stuff like that. Bro was just boasting about making people work 1 trillion hours a week.
Oh yeah, no.
Like that's it.
That's what
he was boasting about overworking people at the docks.
And it's like a lot of times politicians like to tackle it from the small business angle. He didn't even like bother to tackle it from there because this was a time where small businesses were actually shit on because corporations like Walmart, Amazon, everybody, Target, they were able to hire tugboats to go and unload the boats that were docked like far off the port.
Yeah.
So that they weren't the ones that were being unloaded. So they're the ones that got all their product early, whereas the small business was actually fucked over this time.
Yeah, bro. The free market is very fair and has no problems.
Yeah. Oh,
When
yeah.
massive corporations can just purchase their own tugboats while small businesses get absolutely stomped on. That's a fair system.
Oh, yeah, we love it.
That's a fair system that really allows the individual to get ahead.
And you can still just overwork every single one of these dock workers who are only making like, God, we talked about this a couple months ago. Aren't they making like
not enough
shit?
Yeah. I can't. You said that there was an average income, or one of us said there was an average income that was pretty low.
I'm not going to say a number because I'm not trying to get shit
Yeah,
on, but
I
it's
absolutely
low.
do not
It's
remember.
low.
Yeah. And then we were like, unionize.
Facts.
Like if you. He was saying all this stuff about like how the Christmas crisis didn't happen. Everyone got their packages when they said that there was going to be a whole crisis that happened. And then he's just like bragging about making people work like for 90 hours a week.
But that's because Jeremy, that's because
he took credit for just like enslaving people.
Yeah, but that's because the American worker is resilient. And they'll get it done when it needs to get done.
Yeah, bro.
We're a strong group of people.
They're so resilient when the president of the United States forces them to work 90 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then he goes on. His number 2 is that he's going to pass the Build Back Better plan.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
He says that it'll help lower costs for families, which is true, by the way.
Yeah.
It will. It's a really good bill. But it's not going to pass.
And
It's not.
Spoiler alert, they talk a lot about splitting up the Build Back Better bill
yeah.
and passing it in smaller packages, which are not going to pass.
Right.
All the good parts of it are not going to pass. I'm sorry, because they're either Kirsten Sinema is opposed to them or Joe Manchin is opposed to them.
Yeah. Negotiating for prescription drugs, Kirsten Sinema thinks that's like a sin or something.
Oh, literally.
Free college, I think Manchin hates that one.
He does.
Because he doesn't want the kids to be able to get out of the coal mines in West Virginia. They got to stay.
He mentions
stay there
later,
for life.
He mentions later that Joe Manchin loves the idea of universal pre-K. But like the only way any of these things are getting paid for is through tax hikes, which he also mentioned. But Kirsten Sinema is vehemently opposed to any sort of tax hike on anybody.
Joe Manchin also is against more paternity and maternity leave because Americans work. In America, you work.
Yes,
that's a quote from Joe Manchin that we said like weeks and weeks ago. But in America, you work.
That's right, baby.
Despite having a child, despite doing literally everything right your entire life, you work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you had a kid.
You work no matter what. You may be working to death. If you're a dock worker, you certainly work.
Oh, yeah. Because of Joe Biden. And then the third point, he says, is quote unquote, promote competition. And then he said that like a few companies continue to dominate the market.
Yeah.
Which like is true. And we'll talk about monopolies more. We have another section on that. But then he goes on to say, I am a capitalist. This is a quote. I'm a capitalist. But capitalism without competition isn't capitalism. It's exploitation. What the fuck is this dude talking about?
Dude, one, it's always exploitation. Two, capitalism has a crazy tendency that we've, historically been able to observe where it all devolves into monopoly.
Yeah.
And oligopoly. Mm-hmm. Crazy observation right
there.
Yeah,
no, monopolies are like an intrinsic part of capitalism.
It's almost like we don't have very strong antitrust laws. A regulation, by the way.
Yeah.
That is very good.
Yeah, exactly. Like a feature of capitalism isn't the concentration of wealth and power or anything like that.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't encourage wealth hoarding.
Like, where does he think? How does he think these monopolies form? Like, is it like what is his hypothesis here? Like, he's acknowledging that it's happening.
If he was a libertarian, he would say that it's because of government regulation.
Right, but Joe Biden won't say that. But then he also says it's not capitalism. So what is it? Greedy individuals? Like, is that what is that the thing?
I have to say capitalism because 80 years of Red Scare propaganda permeates the country. So if I say anything other than capitalism or say anything bad against capitalism, I would be
That's it. Like
kicked out of office.
It is capitalism, and it's the lack of enforcement of the antitrust laws that we do have on the books. So what does he think though?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
have
Like what could he
absolutely
claim?
No idea.
What is he gonna? It's ridiculous. I think it's honestly just a point that he's making without anything to back it up. You know?
I mean,
Yeah.
we have strong evidence for that, considering everything else he said.
Yeah. He then goes on to say, quote, "We have seen the grit and determination of the American people."
Yep.
And it's like,
Yep.
yeah, in spite of everything you've done, not because of it, dog.
Facts.
Like even in spite of the assistance that they get, not because of the assistance that
We've
they've been getting.
seen grit and determination, because without that grit and determination, they'll just roll over and die.
Exactly.
They'll just curl up into a ball and decay in their own homes they don't own.
The American working class is some of the hardest working people in the world. Like our production through the roof all the time.
Yeah.
GDP through the roof all the time.
Yeah.
Corporate profits, like immense.
Crazy.
These people are working 2 to 3 jobs, 40 plus hours a week just to put food on the table and afford everything. They work very hard.
Yes, they do.
But it's not because of what the government is doing.
Living paycheck to paycheck.
It's not because of like the American dream or anything. It's because they literally have no choice but to do that to survive.
Do this or die.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. People got to work like 40 hours a week just to afford like things like rent, transportation, food,
Anything.
just general things to survive.
Any basic, literal necessity to live. Housing.
Yeah, if they're not resilient, it's literally like starvation, homelessness. Like that's it. And it's not even that the homeless people aren't resilient because they most of the time are working jobs too. They just live in California. They can't afford housing anywhere.
No, literally.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then he hops into some Q&A. Okay. And this is really where the bulk of the conference
This is
comes
the meat
from.
and potatoes, if you will.
So he's the first question he's asked is if he has overpromised. The reporter asked if he has overpromised on what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And then they rattle off a bunch of things that haven't been solved, like COVID deaths, wages, voting rights, etc.
Any legislative package.
Yeah, and Biden immediately goes, "It's the Republicans' fault," which it is.
Which is true. Very
Absolutely true. It's just the Republicans' fault. But he interestingly doesn't actually call out any Republicans.
That's what I was gonna say. This whole time, throughout the whole Q&A portion, he refuses to call anybody out. And the couple times he mentioned somebody by name, just off memory, Mitch McConnell, Joe Manchin, and Mitt Romney, he immediately gasses them up, talking about how, they're great people. He said he's friends with Mitch McConnell, talking about how great a guy Mitt Romney is. Bro. Fuck Bain Capital. Me and all my homies hate Bain Capital. Mitt Romney is the reason Toys R Us is gone.
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
I can't go to Toys R Us in Flint anymore.
I know. It's fucking
That place
wild.
was busting.
Bro also took down a lot of other companies too.
Yeah.
Bain Capital was just a fucking suck on anything.
No, that's
anything.
That was just what Bain Capital was. They would buy shit and then like bankrupt them.
Yeah, they would buy shit. Like explicitly, like with the Toys R Us deal, they bought Toys R Us and they sucked all of its profits out because Bain Capital itself was in massive debt and in the process bankrupted the company. They literally just stole all the profits. Like that's it.
Mitt Romney's a great guy though.
Yeah, but he's a really good guy. He didn't negatively affect anybody's life at all. He didn't lead to mass layoffs of all the fucking workers who lost their jobs. It doesn't matter.
Also, you may notice throughout this conference, throughout this press conference, the framing of these questions was kind of abysmal.
Oh, yeah.
Because these reporters, they know that it's like, it is the fault of the Republican Party that things are the way that they are. Like, if the Republicans weren't actual demons, maybe things could get done. Of course, Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema are preventing the Democratic Party from doing anything on their own. I know. But it is the entire Republican Party that opposes everything Joe Biden has said that he wants to do. Now, if they did support it, or if they could get some of them, there's no saying that it would actually get done if they actually mean that they want to do these things. But the framing is always that, like, the Democrats can't get anything done. True. But it's never focusing on the Republicans being actual just bad people.
Yeah.
You know? They get away with this way too often.
And it's like, while we're still on this topic, right, I'm going to skip ahead in the interview a little bit to when he's talking about Mitch McConnell specifically. And he's like, Mitch McConnell's a good dude, but his goal is to sink anything good that I want to do, but I still like him. He's my friend.
Right. Why is that acceptable?
Why is that acceptable? One, why would you be friends with a guy like that? And two, he put emphasis like onto this one point where he said that there's been at least 5 Republicans that have come forward to him privately and tell him that they agree with him, but they don't want to get beat in the primaries because of that, so they're gonna vote with Mitch. And the reporter said, "Can you say their names?" And he said, No, I'm not gonna do that. I respect confidentiality." But it's like, why the fuck wouldn't you call them out?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Why would you care if they get primaried or not? You know what I mean? If anything, like, they're just spineless cowards.
That's exactly the point that I was going to make, is that if you are putting electoral politics above helping people when you know that whatever it is you're going to vote for will help people, you're just a coward.
They are putting their seat of power over their supposed beliefs.
Right.
And that's what's going on here. You should absolutely be holding them accountable. What the fuck are you there to do? You're there to get your agenda passed, not compromise with them on something that they're telling you they agree with.
Yeah, that's one of my big critiques of this, the Q&A section, is like, why are you being nice to these people?
Yeah.
Like, call them spineless cowards that don't want to help the American people.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not going to make a difference.
He should be out there absolutely airing out the function.
Yes.
Like,
he should be a smoke demon.
He should be airing out the halls of Congress right now.
Yeah.
It's insane, dude. And it's like the only counter that I can see anyone trying to say to this is that, okay, well, what if that supposed Republican with morals, oxymoron, I know, gets primaried by like another right-leaning candidate? They're going to vote with the party anyway.
What's the functional difference, big dog?
There is no functional difference between someone who's saying that they're good in private but acting like a fucking demon in the public and someone who's actually a demon. Yes. The only difference is you can more accurately call them out. Joe Biden in doing this is literally being complacent and acting adjacent to literal corruption.
Exactly.
In the purest sense of the word.
Calling them out or not calling them out does not make a difference for if Build Back Better will pass.
Yeah.
But it does make a difference when it comes to messaging.
Exactly.
Because if you're willing to call out people like Mitch McConnell that you claim to be good, that you claim to be nice people, if you're willing to call those people out, the message is going to work better when you're trying to run an election and convince people that Republicans are bad.
And does he think that people are stupid and they're not going to see that?
Right.
Does he think people aren't going to see through that? He's thinking, oh, these Republicans aren't acting with their morals. Doesn't he want to, like, as the president, the man who is elected to represent all of America, don't you think that the constituents of those senators are also his constituents?
Right. Yeah.
And
literally.
shouldn't he be advocating for their best interest as well, which he supposedly believes in? It's all a fucking game.
Right.
It's literally all a circus, but you don't know who the real clowns are.
Right. When you're elected as president of the United States, senators can't tell you, like, this is West Virginia, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, you are the president you're the representative of every single person in the country.
Your constituents as well.
Yes.
You're kind of doing a disservice to them when you refuse to call out these spineless, dickless politicians.
Yeah, that'd be like if some random representative in Michigan told Gary Peters to fuck off. Like, he's the senator for the state. Like, you can't tell him to, like,
that'd be like if a representative told him to fuck off.
Right, exactly. Like, he represents the state. Like, you represent the entire country, big dog. Like, call these people out.
It's fucking insane. That was like the biggest thing that had me just absolutely flabbergasted the whole time.
And then kind of related to that, he was asked if he thinks the 2022 and 2024 elections are going to be legitimate if voting rights don't pass. And he just kind of like dances around the question. He's like, well, it really just depends what happens. Like, the Sigma answer, the good messaging answer is that no, Republicans will win by cheating.
Yes.
Because they tried to do it already.
Yes.
Like, and they have won by cheating before.
And it's like they weren't afraid. It's like they're either doing way too little or way too much. They were not afraid to go for smoke when they released that statement about COVID that we talked about like a month ago. But now they don't want to do anything. When it comes to calling out your millionaire friends in Congress, you don't want to do anything. It's just fucking ridiculous. No wonder a third of the population does not vote.
Right.
Like, I will continue to hammer in this point. No wonder people think it's a circus, because it is. They can see through it. It's not that hard. They're not as clever as they think they are.
He needs to put us on his messaging team, on his comms team.
For real,
because like the message would get out. It'd be like, Mitch McConnell's a fucking coward.
It should be me in that press conference,
exactly.
just up there, just like, this dude fucking sucks.
Fire Jen Psaki and get me in there. I'll just be like, Mitch McConnell is a spineless coward. His forehead is so big you could see that shit from orbit. He needs to get out of Congress.
Bro,
he's not
looks
supporting
like
the American people. Yeah.
And also Tucker Carlson wants to fuck M&Ms, so you shouldn't listen to that guy.
Moscow Mitch, he probably wants Ukraine to be invaded. Like, this dude does not care. Like, you need to just say, like, Republicans are going to cheat and you're going to die if you elect them. Like,
exactly. Fuck civility politics. I unequivocally reject that, especially in this context.
Because it doesn't make a difference. They're not going to vote for good stuff anyway. They've made it clear that the only thing they are actually against is, like, abortion and gay marriage. Yeah. Like, what else do they care about? Nothing.
Fucking cowards.
Because Biden kept asking over and over in the press conference, like, what are Republicans for? It's like, that's a good question. It's like two things. It's like they're against abortion, they're against gay marriage, and, like, I don't know, they want tax cuts for the rich, and they want guns too, but nothing's really happening with that anyway.
Oh yeah, nothing ever happens.
It's like, what else do they want? They're not a real party. They're just like the opposite of whatever is good. Like, that's all they do.
They're the culture war party.
Yeah,
that's it.
Absolutely ridiculous. And then he gets to there's a bunch of questions on Ukraine, so we don't have to talk about all of them, but they kept asking, like, what are you going to do about Ukraine? What's the situation on Ukraine? Basically, he's still just threatening sanctions.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want war, very obviously, or at least he says he doesn't want war. Maybe they'll want war when it gets closer to the election, so they have something to run on. But there's not really much else you can do there. He said that he's going to do everything he can to support NATO allies. He's not going to abandon them or anything. But Ukraine isn't a NATO ally, so
Ukraine's not a NATO ally, but they're still kind of like one of our allies. I feel like this is the issue that he actually got on there and was able to explain and actually talk about in a way that made sense, where it's like, yeah, it's a very complex issue, one, but he actually got up there and talked about the economic reasons why it was complex. He talked about Russia, I think he said, supplies 45% of energy to Europe.
Yeah.
He started talking about how if we don't let their banks use the dollar in transactions, that's not only going to hurt it will devastate their economy, it will hurt ours, and it will also hurt Europe's economy. Doing anything with energy is going to somewhat hurt Europe, and it's going to drive up gas prices for us too, because Russia and Canada are the two largest importers of oil to the U.S.
Right.
So it's a really complex situation. I feel like this is the only thing he did a good job explaining. So I'll give credit where it's due.
Yeah, no,
but
it's good.
Still.
Yeah, and there's really not much else to even talk about when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. There's nothing that we can do as individual American citizens when we're watching this unfold. If they end up invading Ukraine, it'll probably be pretty bad. If we levy sanctions, it'll hurt our economy and it'll destroy their economy. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find. There's not really much to talk about. Yeah. Well, we're just gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
He was then asked again about Build Back Better. Because
surprise.
there've been lots of questions, and like we said, they just said Biden said we're probably gonna split it up. Because he said it's not gonna pass. Because I can't remember exactly what question the reporter asked, but it's something along the lines of you said Build Back Better, or Build Back Better clearly isn't gonna pass. It hasn't passed.
Yeah.
Are you gonna just split it up? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're going to try to do.
We're going to try to pass some, because he said he was confident that they could pass some of the agenda before the midterms.
And some.
Right.
Very little some. I feel like the only thing that's really going to pass that I can think of off the top of my head would be the climate provisions that were already paid for.
Yeah.
And that's it. Because wasn't
well, climate change isn't real. To the Republican Party.
True.
So
that's
I doubt
Joe
that's
Manchin's
going to happen.
most progressive stance. This dude did an interview with Axios over the summer, and he was asked, what is your most progressive stance? And he said climate change, because I believe it's real. And that's it. That's it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with scientific truths.
He's a conservative through and through. But yeah, because what was it? With the climate provisions within Build Back Better, I want to say, I'm going to probably fuck up the numbers here, 2/3 of the money was pre-existing money that they were shifting around into other places, and there was only a third of it was new spending. I feel like that third's just going to get cut out because of Joe Manchin again.
Yeah,
head of the natural gas committee in Senate.
Yeah.
Despite owning a natural gas coal company.
Shouldn't be allowed.
Crazy, right? Conflict of interest, if I've ever seen one.
But yeah, it's nothing's going to pass. I don't even really know what would be able to pass at this point that would actually satisfy people. Or satisfy any kind of need, economic need.
He made a point about how Joe Manchin supports universal pre-K, but I doubt Kyrsten Sinema does.
Yeah.
Because a trend throughout the Build Back Better discourse was that what one liked, the other didn't.
Right. Yeah.
So,
conveniently, right?
Wow.
Very conveniently.
I wonder how that works.
And it's are they going to do a bunch more, try to do 10 more budget reconciliation motions?
Yeah.
Is Joe Manchin even going to be well, we shouldn't use budget reconciliation too much because it destroys the integrity of the Senate? Because he clearly wasn't for filibuster, which we'll get to.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, kind of disgusting. And then he goes on, we already talked about this a little bit, but says, Mitch McConnell's great, and, I love him even though he's trying to sink my agenda. But he also mentions that the entire Republican Party is basically held by the balls when it comes to Donald Trump. Because everyone is afraid to get primaried. Everyone's afraid to stick their head out above the hole, even though they might support the agenda. Because, Republicans historically really want to help poor people.
And it's we're always getting on here about Democratic messaging because it's dog shit, rightfully so.
Oh, yeah.
We like to bully them.
Yeah, it's bad.
Naturally. Exactly. This is the perfect time to just fucking call them. No balls. No balls you won't vote for voting rights.
Right.
Just to call them, get on there and call them spineless on the natural stage. That's a great, messaging tactic.
That's the bully pulpit.
That is a great way to pull people to your side.
If you go around to everybody that voted for Donald Trump was 79, 75 million people, however many it was. If you go to all of them, I guarantee you 50% of them will say that one of the things they liked most about Donald Trump was that he said it like it is.
Exactly.
He was wrong almost all the time.
But he said it like they thought it was.
Bro lied all the time. But if you can get up there and just absolutely shit on people.
Exactly. It works.
Americans love it. It's something about being a complete dickhead that just resonates with the American people.
Hey, bro. I'm not saying. Hey, bro.
Yeah, why do you think
our brand?
Why do you think more and more people have started listening to Head in the Office?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's like if he could get up there, like he should not be getting up there talking about people like Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney in a good light, or Donald Trump in a good light. Like get up there,
mention them in a good light.
Like get up there. You don't even have to lie to make them look bad. Tell the truth.
They have some like fucking crazy obsession with just civility and bipartisanship.
I know
that has them by the balls. It makes them spineless cowards.
There's no reason to get up there and not just absolutely dog on them because that's what Donald Trump did.
That's what I would do.
That's what Donald Trump did. Like you just got up there and railed against anybody that was brought up that didn't agree with him.
Dogging on reporters.
I know.
A reporter would ask a question and he'd just shit on them. Kind of hard.
Yeah.
Like, I wish Joe Biden.
Well, that's
did
a little.
that.
That's a little fashy. That's a little fashy.
Yeah. But it was funny though.
Hate for the free media. It is funny, and that's why a lot of people liked him. Yeah. Like Joe Biden doesn't. That's the thing. That's the thing is that Republicans have to lie to get away with stuff.
Facts.
Like they got to lie.
Facts.
But Democrats, anybody on the left, they don't have to lie to make Republicans look bad.
They just have to call them out.
You have to tell the truth. like he's lying about Mitch McConnell being a good dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just try a little bit harder.
You don't have to lie about that. Everybody knows. Bro's got a 13% approval rating.
He's the least popular senator in the country, dog.
Everybody
or one
hates
of the least.
him. That's like saying Ted Cruz is a good guy that everybody likes. We all like having drinks with Ted Cruz.
Yeah. Everyone likes going to play basketball with Ted Cruz.
Oh yeah, facts.
He then somebody asks him about black voters specifically. And black voters feeling as though Biden hasn't done enough to secure voting rights and to, I don't know, just make life better for black people in America in general. And then Biden says, almost comedically, that black voters have always supported him and he's always supported black voters, as if his legislative record does not directly contradict that statement.
As if, oh God, was it Joe Biden? It was either Joe Biden or Mitch McConnell that went to the funeral for the former Klansman. I say former because he's dead.
I don't remember.
Like he died.
I feel like I heard of Joe Biden going.
I think Joe Biden was friends with somebody who was like a Klansman and went to the funeral or some shit. Either Joe Biden or one of them, because I remember that being a scandal.
Well, they're friends, so maybe they went together.
Oh, so did they carpooled?
Yeah.
They got lunch before.
Yeah.
Had a little brunch date. But anyway, he also 98 crime bill.
Yeah, no,
Notorious
that's the most obvious
quote,
option.
Super predators. Dude was vehemently racist.
Yeah.
Black voters have not always supported you, and you have not always supported them.
And like Kamala Harris, vice president, doesn't even support black voters.
No, she's a cop.
She didn't back when she was DA in California.
Kamala Harris.
Prosecuting people very harshly for marijuana charges, mostly disproportionately black men. Like, neither of them have supported black voters. And again, it's not because Trump did more. It's not because the Republicans would do more. They would do worse. But it's just because, like, nobody that's been in the seat of power that is the president has actually cared enough to actually do something for black voters. Or if they tried to, it gets stopped in the Senate because the filibuster is broken and the Senate is inherently undemocratic.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. And then at one point, a reporter, he calls out Biden, specifically for his Georgia speech that we talked about like 2 or 3 weeks ago. The reporter says that he was likening people that oppose voting rights now to people like Bull Connor, who was a famous racist, and Jefferson Davis, who's the president of the Confederacy, because Biden said something along those lines. And then Biden was like, no. I didn't say that they were just like Bull Connor or Jefferson Davis. I was just saying that they support the same things.
Yeah.
But it's like another thing with messaging, just say they are like these people.
Oh, yeah.
Because like Trump would be like, these guys are like Hitler. Or he'd be like these. Didn't he? Was it him that called the squad like the jihadists or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. The Jihad Squad.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, no, just call them. Like, be like, yes, you are Bull Connor. Like, you are vehemently racist. Like, come on, dog.
You don't need to do this. You don't need to add all this. And just like, I just want to like quickly follow up on my claim about Joe Biden going to the funeral. That shit is true.
Oh my God.
I just looked it up. That shit is true. Robert Boyd, bro, went to his funeral with a bunch of other people apparently. Bro was a former member of the KKK.
I really wanted to believe it was just Mitch McConnell.
Me too. Me too. But oh my
Mitch McConnell's got that famous picture of him right in front of the Confederate flag, though. So that's a good stand-in.
Oh, true.
A young Mitch McConnell supporting that. And then towards the end, some random dude asked, it kind of finished off. Well, I guess it wasn't the end. It wasn't the exact end. But some dude towards the end of the press conference, he said, "Why are you pulling the country so far left?" I think it was a dude from Fox or like Newsmax or something like that.
I think
He's
so.
like, why are you pulling the country so far left, Joe? And then Joe Biden said, I'm not. I'm a capitalist. I'm not like Bernie Sanders. I'm not a socialist. And that just sums it all up, baby.
That's a perfect tale on this one. You know?
And it's like this reporter says he's being so far left or trying to pull the country so far left. It's like, yeah, far left, like wanting kids to eat and you wanting to build roads. Like wanting children to not live in poverty through no fault of their own. That's so socialist.
Oh my God, I want you to not have to pay for drugs that you absolutely need to live. Oh my God.
I didn't realize that Joe Biden was literally handing the means of production over to the proletariat. Like I didn't know that he was quite literally a Marxist.
I didn't know that he was literally jailing the bourgeois.
Yeah. I didn't realize he was leading the vanguard of the revolution.
Yeah, I didn't know Joe Biden split off and started the Vanguard Party.
Exactly. Like that's just such a like the framing from all these reporters, right-leaning reporters, left-leaning, doesn't matter. Most of them are just terrible.
Joe Biden a Maoist, confirmed.
Oh, facts. I mean, that's what like OAN would have you believe and shit.
No, facts. Speaking of OAN, I think I saw this one article talking about how they had like a 40% boost in ratings, like record high ratings from the Joe Biden thing, like from this.
The conference, yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I don't know if it's true, but I'm gonna get on here speculating shit.
Okay.
OAN just got dropped by DirecTV.
Oh yeah,
So
I saw that.
I'm sure that tanked their ratings, like absolutely tanked it.
Oh, so
I don't
any
really
boost
know.
is
I'm pretty
a
sure-
40% boost.
Yeah, like anybody watching that shit is a 40% boost.
Right.
Like, so I just, talking my shit about them.
Yeah. It's like they had 100 viewers, now they got 140.
Exactly.
Like, that's all it is.
Exactly.
Anyway, but to sum up the conference, the big theme was basically Joe Biden saying, "Name me one president that has done as much as I have in the first year."
No, literally.
That's what he said.
After everything, he's like, this is a record decrease in child poverty, like record increase in fucking everything else.
It's like here's the thing. The status quo before Joe Biden was abysmal. And what he's been doing is trying to catch up. And for all intents and purposes, he hasn't caught up.
The bar is on the ground.
And he's doing things that
below.
are just like expected of you, like building roads. He's like, largest investment in infrastructure we've ever seen. It's like, yeah.
Every investment in
because we haven't invested in infrastructure in like 1 trillion years.
Yeah, every investment in infrastructure is the largest investment in infrastructure. And it's like,
because we don't do it.
They also just love to lie about it too and just not talk about how inflation is factored into it.
Yeah.
Like it's always the largest dollar amount because we only have an infrastructure bill like every 10 years or some dumb shit like that.
It's because we don't invest in transportation or roads or clean water or clean air or anything like that.
Absolutely no high-speed rail.
It's just disgusting. And it's just an example of the Overton window being absolutely atrocious here.
Oh my God.
So far to the right that he does absolutely anything for one poor person. He's like, I'm a hero of the working class.
Facts.
Like, and that's why Republicans can claim that too, by the way, because they do that all the time.
Sure, that's why you got to shit on them. You got to get out there. You got to air out the Senate.
Yeah.
Get on the floor. Speaking of airing out the Senate, I want to talk about Elizabeth Warren was just on Stephen Colbert's show. I want to say it was either this week or last week, and there's a quote that like was going around from it where Stephen Colbert was like asking her about the Senate, and he came up and he primed the question with like the Senate is the most undemocratic institution in the American government.
It's the most undemocratic institution in the world, probably.
Exactly. He's
out of
talking
any
about,
like OECD nation.
Yeah, he was talking about like Asma abolish the Senate type shit. And he asked Warren what she had to say about it. You know what she had to say about the Senate?
What did she say?
The Senate is primarily for debate.
Yeah, bro. Debate when the Republicans constantly filibuster even starting debate.
That's such a conservative answer.
Yeah.
That's such a Joe Manchin type answer. That is literally a cop-out. What debate happens on the Senate floor? What actual meaningful debate happens on the Senate floor? They get up there and they just talk shit in like a politically, I don't even want to say politically correct, just a political way.
Yeah.
It's just posturing.
What's the old quote? It's like the House is where things heat up and the Senate is where it goes to cool. It's like, bro, it's fucking freezing in there. It's literally sub-zero temperatures in there.
Is absolute zero in there because
that
absolutely
zero?
nothing happens or
bro,
gets done.
It's pretty cold in there.
Yeah.
Like absolutely nothing happens. Like the Senate is not a place for debate. It's where things go to never happen.
Oh, it's where bills go to die, especially these last 6 years.
It was a compromise with slave states, I will add.
It's very true.
Just like everything else in the Constitution was a compromise with slaveholding people. Oh my God. Speaking of the Senate, though.
Speaking of the Senate.
Speaking
of nothing getting done in the Senate.
Speaking of the Senate functioning in a very, very efficient, productive, good for the American people way.
Speaking of the Senate functioning in the way that it was intended to keep black people down.
Yeah. Speaking of the Senate, which literally exists to make it so black people can't vote.
Yeah.
We got to talk about voting rights. So we talked about a potential push for voting rights after Joe Biden and Kamala Harris went to Georgia about 2 weeks or so ago. That push just came and
And it's
went.
like, keep in mind, this push had absolutely no momentum. The person pushing this is 20 pounds soaking wet.
Chuck Schumer? That's who it was.
Exactly.
Anyway, on Wednesday night, the Senate took a vote on the freedom to vote John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which is a combination of the two bills. And it previously passed in the House. I don't know what the vote margin was, but it's probably just party
That's
line.
a long time ago, didn't it? Or is that HR1?
That was HR1,
Yeah.
but this one is just a combination of the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act, which we talked about last week.
Okay.
So they just put them into one.
Nice.
And the House passed it, and it was in the Senate. And in the Senate, of course, didn't meet the 60 vote threshold.
Oh my God, I'm so surprised.
Yeah. The vote came down to 49-51. But it was because Chuck Schumer had to vote no. Because there's some weird rule in the Senate that if the entire party votes yes and then it doesn't pass, then it can't be reintroduced or something. The Senate's weird. But he had to vote no. It was 49-51. Because I looked it up and I was like, did Joe Manchin vote against this shit for real?
That makes sense.
I was about to lose it.
For real?
No, but it was it was just like a procedural thing. But Manchin and Sinema both voted yes. So that was interesting. They both said they support voting rights, but not enough to like do anything.
There are so many weird, funky, stupid fucking rules in the Senate.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
But then the Democrats, what do they do next? What's your guess? What do they do next?
Didn't they move to like do like a special rules change to get rid of the filibuster?
That's exactly
that
what they
only
did.
required a 51-50 vote.
That's exactly what they did. They moved to vote on amending the rules for the filibuster such that they could get their legislation through. And I don't know if it was going to be get rid of the filibuster, make it a talking filibuster, lower the votes you need to pass pass cloture or whatever it was. But doesn't matter actually.
Surprise, surprise.
The Senate voted down the motion 48-52. Guess who voted no on the motion to amend the filibuster? Sinema and Manchin, baby. And with that, voting rights is gone.
What a colossal waste of time.
Yeah.
That is a waste of a week worth of Senate procedure right there.
Yeah. Well, it was like one day. It was like last Wednesday.
Sure, and they don't really get anything done anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But like Manchin and Sinema talk about how much they like support voting rights, how much they want to secure the right to vote, and then do absolutely nothing to make it happen is just the equivalent of posting a black square on Instagram and calling it good.
No facts.
Like that's it.
This is all just made me realize like this right here just came to this realization on the pod. This is a fresh thought.
Oh,
this is
we like fresh thoughts around here.
Exclusive for the listeners of this episode, right? Everybody who's in the Senate is just there to insider trade.
It's all a pyramid scheme.
What else would those 5 Republicans be there for? The 5 we talked about earlier that supposedly care about these issues but don't want to get. They just want to insider trade.
And they're doing it.
And they're doing it, and they're coming out millionaires. They want to insider trade and get lobbying money.
Well, Nancy Pelosi did switch her stance on that though. She said maybe the House members should be barred from being able to trade stocks.
Wow.
She changed her position.
Wow.
Because remember, before she was like, no, they shouldn't be banned. They're independent citizens that have actually absolutely no power to impact the economy or stocks at all. But now she switched her stance, probably because the entire country took a shit on her, left and right alike.
Everybody fucking shat on her for that, and probably because she realized that no regulations are ever going to pass because you can't trust people to govern themselves.
Yeah. Maybe like it was like every single person in the country, even like libertarians, far right, anarcho-capitalists, were like, yeah, that's stupid.
This is bad. This is actually a bad thing, Nancy Pelosi.
Probably because it was Nancy Pelosi saying it. But if it was someone like Mitch McConnell saying it, they'd be like, nah, he's fine.
If it was Rand Paul saying it.
Oh, my God. They love that dude.
Oh, they'd be like, yeah, this is great. Actually, the free market shall not be impeded.
Yeah. So anyway, the Senate voted down the motion to reform the filibuster, so no voting rights bills passed at all, not even the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. But there's a lot of reactions to it. Okay. And I wanted to go over a couple. Okay. So Mitch McConnell reportedly, and I quote, fumed at the Democrats trying to break the Senate. And then he said, the Senate will be saved tonight. Americans can breathe a sigh of relief. This radicalism has been stopped, and it's a good day for America.
He sounds like a Democrat after January 6th.
Yeah. This shit's so corny. This radicalism.
Yeah, it's so funny because he's responsible for the current state of the Senate.
Yeah, bro. Being allowed to vote is radical.
Like he started this shit when once he got the Senate back under Obama. Mm-hmm. Like this is all his fault that things are like this,
and he knows that, bro.
Yeah.
Being able to vote is so radical.
He relishes in that. He beats to that at night.
And then Manchin, quote unquote, chided at Democrats trying to, quote, break the rules to change the rules. I understand why people hate politics so much. Because it's like, what?
So much fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, it is painful to cover this stuff sometimes.
Yeah, you can't set up an institution that is fundamentally favoring one side already and then get mad at people that try to change the rules to make it a little bit more equitable.
Yeah.
Like, the system is already the foundations it lays on are uneven and skewed, protect one interest over the other. And then he gets mad when people try to change the rules to, like, just make it so it's not that difficult to vote. Make it so people in Atlanta can vote. Absentee. Like, come on, dog.
Bro, this is like, it's like when Uno came out and tweeted that you can't stack +2s and +4s. Like, no, you can change these rules.
Right.
That's wrong.
You can do it.
You can absolutely stack those.
Like, maybe originally it was meant to be different, but you can stack
but
twos,
now
man.
we can collectively decide that we are going to change the rules.
Imagine playing Uno with Joe Manchin, and he's just like, I'm not giving you the cards unless we're not stacking twos.
Yeah, no, literally. Imagine playing Uno with Joe Manchin and say, there's 4 people, right?
Yeah.
You're sitting in a formation. Like, say it's like Jeremy sitting across from me. Joe Manchin is to my right, and Kirsten Sinema is to my left. And Jeremy is on Uno. He's got 1 card left, and we know what color it is, and that's the color that's on the board.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm like, Joe, I have a +2 right now, and you have a +2. I could lay it down, and you could lay it down, and we could stop Jeremy from winning.
Naturally.
And he said, no, that's against the rules. I'm not changing the rules to stop this.
Right, and then, like, there's a black person trying to play, but he's like, you actually have to show an ID to be able to play Uno now.
Oh, my God. No, for real.
You actually have to pass a literacy test if you want to play Uno with us. That is a completely analogous situation.
Exactly.
Don't question us. And then from The Hill, reported on Sinema, quote, Sinema, in a statement after the vote, reiterated her support for voting rights legislation, but she also said, quote, quote, maintained my long-standing opposition to separate actions that would deepen our divisions and risk repeated radical reversals in federal policy, cementing uncertainty and further eroding confidence in our government. That's what Sinema said.
Like 2 years ago, she was a land-back communist.
Yeah.
These are not long-standing positions. I'm sorry. She used to be a fucking radical.
Yeah. She just chases political clout. That's all it is.
Oh, my God. I
Like,
know.
she's just a clout demon. Like, she's going to say that she doesn't want to do anything that'll deepen divisions. Like, oh, maybe, like, poor people not being able to vote would deepen divisions pretty bad.
You can scroll back on her Twitter, and it's like, land back America, KKK. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Long-standing?
Yeah.
What's the time scale we're working on here, Kirsten?
A few months.
Yeah.
A few months. Bernie, when asked if he would support challengers to Manchin and Sinema, only said, yeah, I would.
Dog answer.
Absolute dog
that's
answer.
That's all you need to say.
That's all he said.
It. Short and sweet, baby.
The thing is that Sinema and Manchin, neither are up until 2024. Sinema could get tossed. Arizona's pretty blue now.
The Arizona Democratic Party just moved to censor her. I don't know exactly what it means. I was trying to read the articles about it, but it's very confusing.
Slap on the wrist, probably.
Yeah, probably a slap on the wrist, but I guess they're just not going to promote anything she does.
Good.
And I think they voted a while like a vote of no confidence, which functionally does nothing.
Yeah.
But it just means that they won't support her re-election in 2024, which is very far away.
I know there's already like organizations set up that you can donate to that are going to donate all of their money to whoever is running against Kirsten Sinema.
Whoever?
Yeah.
Whoever?
Well, like whatever Democrat runs against Kirsten
whoever's
Sinema.
primary.
Which is like she's probably gonna get voted out unless she somehow gets her act together and like gets a massive turnout. But like nobody likes her.
She's just gonna insider trade as much as she can while she's there because I'm convinced that's what the Senate is.
Fund her own campaign.
Now. Yeah, fund her own campaign and maybe pull out a win, but probably not.
Yeah, and like Manchin and Sinema, they're always claiming like we're protecting the deliberative nature of the Senate, but it's like. The GOP is going to eviscerate the filibuster the next chance they get.
The GOP
whenever it helps them.
The GOP has not deliberated since pre-Obama.
Yeah. Yeah, no. They've never deliberated.
Honestly, they probably have never deliberated.
Also, like, voting rights, I don't understand. How can they not see the problem? How is it not suspicious to them that 0 Republicans, House and Senate, support the advancement of voting rights? Even the people on the January 6th commission in the House do not support the voting rights bills.
They just happen to be principled.
Yeah, it's just how they feel.
They just happen to
Everyone's
be
entitled to their opinions.
That's okay. It's okay.
Nobody's suspicious that 0 members of the GOP support the voting rights package. Like, what are their contentions with it?
I don't know.
Like, it's going to let Democrats steal another election? Joe Manchin doesn't believe the election was stolen.
I mean, that is the rhetoric behind it.
That's the rhetoric, but Manchin has said the election wasn't stolen. Like, he has admitted that, and so has Sinema. Like, no Democrat has said the election was stolen. So what? Why doesn't? It's just they don't even try. They're not even trying.
Isn't Manchin also not running again?
He's said that he's toying with the idea. I think he previously said that he won't.
He's not running as a Democrat again.
Or he's No, if he switches parties and he just becomes another hog that is irrelevant, nobody cares about.
That's facts. He likes the clout.
And he also would constantly vote with the GOP. There's no way he would ever buck them.
Yeah.
He would never do that. Yeah. But the only real way to fix like the problem in the Senate right now, unfortunately, is to elect more Democrats. But first of all, it's not going to happen, especially in 2022.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. And also, it's so hard to get Democrats elected, especially now, because of how incredibly abysmal the messaging is. Like, everyone's starting to see through this is the most important election of our lifetime rhetoric.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, you say that every single time. You say that voting rights are up for grabs every single time. You say that poor people are going to be helped every single time. Then you do nothing about it.
You say that everything is the most important bill that has ever been passed, that you are the president who's done the most good things out of any president and the least bad things ever. We are the best ever, every time.
Yeah. That's our best hope right there, baby. The Democratic Party, the people who still give tax breaks to massive corporations, still vote for the military to be extraordinarily bloated and overfunded, and do basically nothing for poor people. That's our best hope.
That's right. What's up, gang? I'm Chuck Schumer, and I'm here recording a video on my fucking phone's front-facing camera against a gray wall saying, please donate to the Democratic Party. Conservatives have voting rights in a chokehold right now, and if you don't vote, they're all gonna die.
I know. We need to adopt like the style of rhetoric that one lady from Texas had. Calling,
oh my god.
Calling that dude enemy of the people. Like, not obviously don't
Minus
be racist,
the racism.
but like just adopt the aggression, you know?
Yeah.
Like just be that aggressive because again, you don't have to lie.
They're out here
to catch
really,
them red-handed.
They're out here fighting for what they believe in, like Aaron Yeager, smoke demons. We need to adopt a little bit more of that.
We need to be just completely disrespectful. Oh my goodness. And like my final point on this that I'll make is that, and we've said this before, but the weakness of the neoliberal establishment or even just the liberals in general feeds directly into the right being able to get away with this shit.
All controlled opposition.
Yeah. Yeah. If the Democrats actually had an answer for any of this, if they actually wanted to help anybody, they actually ever did anything in a united fashion, maybe we could actually advocate against the right. But for now, people just get swept up. Because it's easy to get swept up in people that are enemies of the people, you know?
Because it's so easy, it's so easy to look at what they say and how they actually, they being Republicans, the conservative party, actually get the shit they want to get done.
Yeah.
And if they don't want something done, it's not getting done because they will block it. They will block anything they can. They will do everything in their power to do anything that they want to do. And then you have the weak little bitch boy Democrat. They are literally soy boys up in there.
Yeah, they have a trifecta. What have they done for it?
I know.
What have they done with it?
It's insane. They just have this crazy opportunity to do shit that they want, to ram anything they want through. But, Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema.
Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema.
And there's not a single Republican that's even a little moderate.
Yeah, Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema protecting everybody from socialism taking over.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what would happen if we help poor people a little bit. The radical poors.
The radical poors.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. Anyway, moving on. We got to talk about a massive merger.
A little bit of gamer news. A little bit of gamer time over here.
A little bit of gamer news.
I can't wait to alienate our female audience even more.
Absolutely.
Assuming that our female audience isn't gamers.
Before we even get into this, I just want to preface that, we got to talk about monopolies.
Exactly.
In general.
Exactly. There's a lesson here.
Yeah, it's a lesson in why monopolies are bad.
And why companies suck.
Exactly. So a week or so ago, Microsoft, you all know Microsoft, purchased the massive gaming company Activision for $68.7 billion.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Of dollars right there, some
and
bread.
This obviously has massive implications for Microsoft and anybody that cares about preventing monopolies in general, because Microsoft's already functionally a monopoly or getting there at least.
And anybody that be playing games.
Anybody that be doing anything.
Anybody that be playing games, because especially if you're a console gamer, like we are over here, PS5 gang.
Yeah, exactly.
Naturally, PS5 game. I'm pretty sure
fuck a supply chain issue.
We got them somehow.
Exactly.
But anyway, PS5s have markedly outsold the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S's.
Yeah.
I can go to Target and find them. I have found them. Not a PS5. Not to say I had to struggle. I had to hustle to get mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They outsold them. They won the console war, right?
Yeah.
So Microsoft said,
Sigma move here.
They said, okay, we're just going to buy every single game and make it exclusive so that you cannot play anything on the PlayStation.
Right. That's part of the reason monopolies are bad, and this is exactly what they do in every industry. Yeah. If they see that a competitor's got a leg up or they're performing better for whatever reason, they'll just buy up all of the small people so that their competition can't compete as well as they were before.
Now, if you want to play fucking Call of Duty, Overwatch, any of the Activision Blizzard games, which it doesn't really affect me that much. I'm Spider-Man, God of War kind of guy over here,
Absolutely.
A little bit of PEX, a little bit of Apex Legends. but anyway, if you want to play any of those games, now you just got to buy Xbox. You're being extorted.
Yeah.
That's what these mergers do.
You can celebrate it like Joe Biden did, though.
Yeah, oh, true. You can flex it. They're
Anyways.
just there to extort you. Like, if you want to play Elder Scrolls, you're fucked now.
Yeah.
Go buy an Xbox.
Yeah. So Reuters, they reported that this deal, obviously, like any merger deal does, has to get approval first through the antitrust laws. But as we said earlier, antitrust laws are rarely enforced anymore. I'm pretty sure we have the laws on the books to break up monopolies. We don't do it, though.
Yeah. Oh, no trust busting.
No, not at all. Which obviously just makes us a gigantic monopoly, or getting close to a monopoly if you want to make the argument that there's still other people that can compete against Microsoft, which is like fuck off, whatever.
And it's like the other huge example of this, the glaring fucking example of this is Disney, and how they have been buying up every single fucking movie studio since like forever. Like, what are the only movie studios that Disney fucking doesn't own anymore? Big ones. It's like Paramount,
Lionsgate, or do they own Lionsgate?
I don't know. I know they don't own Paramount. I know they don't own WB, Warner Bros.
Yeah.
I don't think they own Lionsgate.
Okay.
But now they own Fox. They own ABC News. They own a bunch of other like smaller things. Like, the entertainment industry is like half owned
MCU,
by Disney.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
All of it.
All the huge properties. It's literally like half of entertainment is owned by Disney.
Yeah.
That's a fucking monopoly. Like, I fucks with the Disney movies.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, but that doesn't mean that I like that they could exert creative control over literally like almost anything. They have such a sway in the industry. They control anything.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem is when it comes to even just Disney specifically, everything starts becoming the exact same.
Yeah.
Like I'm a good little consumer when it comes to the MCU. I'm an enjoyer of the MCU.
Love them.
I love it. But they are all exactly the same.
Facts. And they had like a huge issue with that a couple years ago, like around the Doctor Strange time. Every movie had like the same fucking script. Every solo movie,
it's the same plot, same colors. It all looks the same. They all act the same. Like, it's all the same
because they know it's gonna make bank, and I'm complacent in it.
And it does. Like, I'm a good little consumer.
Exactly.
Like, I hate capitalism. I hate why this exists the way it does. But I'm a good little consumer. When I see Spider-Man No Way Home come out,
bro, that was fire though. I knew that I was gonna hate the Star Wars Episode 9. I still went and watched it.
Oh yeah, that shit was disappointing.
Still had to, even though I knew I was gonna hate it because they just got a grip on me, got me by the balls.
Anyway, kind of like we already talked about, monopolies are bad because they lower creativity. They basically make it so the quality just shoots down in a product because businesses know they can sell you whatever and you'll have to buy it.
And then they can just do planned obsolescence.
Right, because they have a monopoly over it. And that applies not only to movies, but of course to what Microsoft is selling as well. Working conditions just get demonstrably worse for the average worker because, again, businesses can literally do anything. And if you want to work in that field, you got to work for them.
There's no competition.
Exactly. Like
whatsoever.
If you want to, like, I know Activision had a lot of the complications or just accusations of like harassment in the workplace.
This deal is specifically like it was able to happen right now because Blizzard, I think it was Blizzard and Activision specifically, just had rampant like sexual assault allegations that were like confirmed by multiple different sources. They were doing horrible shit up in there, so the company was in deep water. So I'd imagine that's probably another way this can happen. But isn't it crazy that a big company can just buy your way out of a PR disaster?
Yeah. So maybe they were bought for $68 billion instead of $75 billion.
Where's the accountability there?
Yeah.
Where's the They just made a fuck ton of money instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy, right?
Like, you just kind of went under the radar for a few months and then made a bunch of money, billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely stupid. And that, like, of course, working conditions are not going to improve for these people. They'll still be doing the same thing. It's just now they have no creative agency whatsoever. They have to do whatever the big parent company tells them to do, which they will.
Fucking stupid, dude.
And then also, when monopolies emerge in any industry, that just means that they can hold the economy hostage even more than they did before. If they fail, their chunk of the economy fails.
Oh yeah.
And like imagine if Amazon, which is a monopoly by the way, just completely fell apart. The economy would be in shambles.
Amazon or Google.
Yeah.
Google especially. No, it's like you don't even have to imagine, literally, because they tell you. It comes out once in a while during like policy discussions that guys, it's like the big banks in 2008. We literally have to bail these companies out if they make a stupid decision.
Yes.
Because if we don't, so much of our GDP hinges on what they do. So much of our country, our economy is literally just dependent on them.
Yeah.
And that's it. So they get to do whatever the fuck they want.
And like you hear billionaires like Elon Musk all the time say like, well, I could just relocate outside of the U.S. That implies that he is saying that if he leaves, things will be a disaster here.
Oh, yeah.
Like that implication is that if for some reason Tesla fails or falls apart, or like his companies withdraw from the U.S. economy for whatever reason, things will get really bad for workers and average people. And they're right.
And they use it as a way to keep
a
taxes
gun
low.
to the head of the economy.
It is collectively they have a gun to everybody's head because it's a way that they can also keep taxes low. Because you're gonna raise my taxes, I'm just gonna fuck around and leave.
Yeah.
Kellogg, not exactly like in monopoly news, but we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Kellogg, when their workers were striking, they said, "We are literally just gonna move these jobs overseas. Fuck you."
Yeah.
They can just do it.
That should be illegal. You should go to jail.
Imagine if Google did that.
Mm-hmm.
Moved everything out, or like any of these companies that are just huge sectors of the economy just gone.
Yeah. If a business collapsing means that it's just going to take out an entire leg of the economy, nationalize it. It's too big.
Hell yeah.
It should just be a part of the government.
The airline industry, that shit should have been nationalized a long time ago.
Oh my God. That's just public transportation, baby.
Yeah.
It would drive prices down. People would be able
essential.
to access it easily.
It's a huge country.
Everybody that works there now could just be a federal worker with federal benefits. Minimum wage of $15 an hour now.
That's right. New federal minimum wage just went up $15 an hour.
Not for like if you're working at McDonald's, but if you work for the federal government.
Yes. Not the federal minimum wage. The minimum wage for workers.
Federal workers.
Within the federal government.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Anyways, it's just monopolies are just bad for everybody involved, except guess who?
The capitalist.
The capitalist. The capitalist
Capitalist
benefits the
company.
most. Capitalist benefits the most. And even in a capitalist framework, though. Even in a capitalist framework.
You know.
Preventing monopolies is just good.
Yeah, it fosters competition. It is a more free market.
Mm-hmm.
It is the epitome of free market to get rid of monopolies and oligopolies and shit like that.
Yeah, and it should be a main goal of the state to do that. Like, why else does the state exist other than to make sure that businesses don't become so predatory that they can just own the entire economy?
Like, guys, this is why we need regulations.
Yeah.
This is absolutely why we need regulations.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those fucking libertarians that is like, regulations actually only lead to monopoly, shut the fuck up.
If you're one of those libertarians in our comments on TikTok telling us
Benjamin
that we don't
Politics,
need any
I'm
regulations,
talking about you in our DM.
telling us we don't need regulations, we don't understand it, or we're just misrepresenting the argument. No, we know what it's like when there's no regulations. People like John D. Rockefeller own everything.
Exactly. Zero regulation is what led to the rampant trust busting. That was it Truman that had to do it?
Remember.
Or was it Roosevelt?
I can't remember, I'll be honest with you.
FDR.
It was a part of some reforms, yeah.
I think it was FDR, because New Deal, I think that was like massive trust busting in there too.
Yeah.
Antitrust breaking up these big companies.
Yeah.
Crazy how historically when we've had less regulation, we've had more monopoly.
Yeah, interesting
Crazy.
how that chart works, right?
Crazy.
Yeah.
And then you got Benjamin Politics in our fucking DMs. Just this motherfucker.
Anyways, that's just a little note on how capitalism will always create monopolies, and like capitalism unrestrained is literally just bad. It's just feudalism. Like, that's what a monopoly is like feudal lords owning the land.
Mm-hmm.
Like, functionally, in this day and age, obviously it would look different because technology had advanced, whatever. But, like, without regulations, it just becomes feudalism, dog.
It's like news of Facebook having that company town.
Yeah.
Like, you remember that? Like, last year, this time last year.
In, like, Nevada?
Facebook was talking about just straight up making a company town.
Yeah.
We're just regressing.
Those are something we've tried before, too, by the way. Company towns are terrible.
Horribly bad.
Because then companies can just like pay you company credits instead of real money. Then suddenly you can only buy from the company. And then suddenly you're just a slave.
Crazy
like,
company-owned grocery store. About to go to the Facebook grocery store to fuel up my Facebook car with a Facebook gas.
Hell yeah, brother. That's dystopia right there.
That's
That
right.
is absolutely my nightmare. Anyways. I think that probably sums it up for this episode.
That's this week, y'all. Sorry, there wasn't much news.
Yeah, not too much newsy news.
You know how the beginning of the year goes. It's a little slow now, but
Yeah, exactly.
we hope we're bringing you the good enough content.
Hopefully things will ramp up. Maybe Joe Biden will pull a Trump and like assassinate some Iranian leader and maybe cause nuclear war,
Yeah.
like he did back in 2020.
Oh, in fact, maybe y'all should like just convince a bunch of other companies to change their mascots to less sexy versions of themselves, so that we can have more Tucker Carlson clips to make fun of him for.
Facts.
You know-
Maybe a new
you know how
global
it is.
pandemic will release soon. Maybe the war with Russia will start.
Yeah,
we'll have
maybe-
something crazy
Maybe
to talk about.
tomorrow Russia will just fuck around and just full out invade Ukraine.
Invade the United States,
Oh shit!
starting
it's like
in Florida.
What's that movie? Red Dawn.
I don't know.
Red Dawn. Russian paratroopers just coming in. They got us now.
No, they land directly in Florida. They find Ron DeSantis first,
I
and
think
then
the
then we
Floridians
find
got
out
it.
that Ron DeSantis is actually a Russian operative the whole time. And then it all starts to connect. It all makes sense. And then the pod is the last of the freedom fighters. All the other left wing media has been taken out, but they don't know where we are because we started small.
Yeah, exactly. We're so small, but we'll blow up. We'll blow up eventually.
They've taken out all the big left creators. Hassan gone.
Yeah.
Mehdi Hassan gone. all the left wing creators gone.
Chapo Trap House.
Chapo
gone.
Trap House. They get them. Gone.
ContraPoints gone.
Gone. All of them. Just
Oh,
us
man.
left. It's just us. And then we have a monopoly.
Yeah,
and then
but
we're
it's
God
good.
Kings.
It's good when it's us though.
Yeah.
Guys, actually disregard the last bit of what we said.
We can regulate it. We can regulate it.
Maybe we'll cut out this disregard what I said about people. We shouldn't trust the people in Congress to regulate themselves when it comes to like stocks and shit, because we would.
Cut the whole episode. Cut the whole episode. Cut the whole episode.
Put it in the trash. Let me find some new topics.
Anyways, thank you all for listening to this episode. But before we go,
some special patrons.
It's time for a special thanks. So we got to give a shout out to our patrons. First of all, starting with Cricket Scrapbook Layouts. Then we got Nikki Nine Lives, Caden Kraut, Terrence Nicholson, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Omar Zuno, Abigail Cox, 40% Spite, Thalia Kotz, and my mom. Right. Thank you all for supporting the show on Patreon.
They can all be on the board of our Monopoly.
Exactly. You know? Maybe.
Yeah, this episode will just release you.
we'll let you guys be feudal lords.
Exactly.
If you become a patron. Just consider it. Consider it. Check out the Patreon. It's in the description.
Give it a thought.
Yeah.
It's an investment.
How about the show? Be a part of the feudal revolution, because that's what we're going to be.
Have a good rest of your week, y'all.
Thanks for listening to the show.